Hello and welcome to our show. I'm Harry Greenberger. I'm the president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association and the host for this show. And today we have two of the members of our organization with us. I'd like to introduce Doug Stewart and Charlotte Klasson. And we are going to be talking about the Affirmations of Humanism. Now, one of the national organizations that we're associated with is the Council for Secular Humanism, and they put out a magazine called Free Inquiry, and the inside cover of that magazine for every edition lists 21 of what they call the Affirmations of Humanism. And we're going to talk about some of them. I know we won't talk about all of them, but many of them we agree with. Some of them we might have some question about. So just to get started, I'm going to name a few of them, and we're going to just go from there. I'm looking at two of these affirmations, one of which says, "We believe in the cultivation of moral excellence." I'm combining that with the one that says, "We believe in the common moral decencies, altruism, integrity, honesty, truthfulness, responsibility. Humanist ethics is amenable to critical, rational guidance. There are normative standards that we discover together. Moral principles are tested by their consequences." Now, the people in the religious community will constantly say, if you do not accept that morality is handed down from on high, from God, then you don't have any basis for morality, and so atheists and agnostics can do anything they want to because there are no restraints on them. How do you all respond to that? Either one of you.
Recently, during the presidential election, there was interviews by Rick Warren in the Saddleback Church from both presidential candidates.
Yes.
Rick Warren was asked that very same question about could you vote an atheist for president? And his reply was, no, I couldn't. The president is too much of a job for one man. He has to have a higher power to relate to,
which is what our current president George Bush. That is how he comes to his decisions,
and that to me is terrifying. To think that a president, instead of going into the Oval Office and looking at using critical thinking to work out what to do next, he consults Deuteronomy and Exodus and Leviticus and the Bible.
And possibly a crystal ball. Well, then where do our morals come from? And I also, just use that interchangeably with ethics. How do we get ours?
Well, I think it's already being proven through research with primates that the way an animal reacts to each other in their group that have social order, morality, if that's what they're seeing in an animal, has to do with perhaps the harmony of their group, and so it's something that's innate. And perhaps somewhere in our being we are insecure. Somewhere in the course of people evolving and looking outwardly to say there must be something outward that is making me do something and respond a certain way. And perhaps people are insecure that they think they can't do something based on it just being the right thing to do. They need to attribute it to something because maybe they don't believe it can come from themselves. And there may be a real sense of that you need a being to give you that purpose in life.
For that, some people need a.
Some people, yes.
And you're talking about a superior, being superior to human.
Right. We need a father or a mother to make us feel good.
As they say in here, they say that there are normative standards that we discover together. Moral principles are tested by their consequences. So, as mankind developed, they found that certain of their actions benefited themselves and their group, which may have just been a family or a clan, and others may have worked to their detriment. And so then these became their moral principles.
Right.
Like, don't kill, because if I kill you, you have the right to kill me. And so these developed just from experience.
Right, trial and error.
And when they say moral principles are tested by their consequences, meaning that if you have a bad moral principle, the consequence may be that someone's going to shoot you. I would be inclined to support these two affirmations, but then when you look at the list, they say common moral decencies, and then they list altruism and others. I question altruism. Is that, which means that you do something, I guess, for others, expecting nothing in return. Is that what you would see as altruism?
I wouldn't define it like that, but doing something for someone else, you do expect something in return, but it's not a direct payment. It's evolved that way to. It's evolved that way to. It's a bit like answering the question: Why do we love our children? Everyone loves their children. Why is that? It's because there's an evolutionary progression. Every one of my ancestors, going back to millions of years to lower primates, they all loved their children. The ancestors that didn't love their children didn't survive, and so that was an evolutionary, moral, altruistic emotion that has carried on in the human race.
So would you tie altruism into the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
Yes.
Right, goodness for goodness sake.
All right.
Because as a society, we have built altruism into reward for even the simplest decision, that instead of a decision that you do because it's the right thing to do on your job, you feel that one little task somehow elevates you. Whereas where the heroism kind of belief is we think the simplest thing creates that. And so if there's no, I think America has gotten to where they think the simplistic, it's not goodness for goodness sake. If you're expecting a reward, then that is a Christianity kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's something out there that will reward you later. But yet, as a society, we're very short term. We want that enthusiasm and approving. That we want that approvement from people. So.
Certainly.
And the reward could be internal. Just the other day, I was in a store, and it was a South By store, and the guy in front of me put $100 in and paid for his purchase, and he left his change in the tray.
Yes.
And when I saw it, I immediately picked it up and ran after him into the parking lot and gave him back his money.
Yeah.
It was about $75 or something. And I knew I was never going to see this guy again, and I could have easily taken the money.
Yes.
But internally, I felt really good about myself.
And that's evidence of morality without relying upon the supernatural.
Right.
All right, well, let's talk about some others. One of them says, we believe in an open and pluralistic society, and that democracy is the best guarantee of protecting human rights from authoritarian elites and representative and repressive majorities. Now, I have a problem with that myself, because this country has a somewhat of a democracy, but if our democracy had not also, our Constitution had not had an amendment which was called the Bill of Rights, which then limited what the majority could do to the minority. If that had not been added, just democracy itself, where the majority rules,